All right, we're kicking off season 6 with a repeat guest, but one that's very deserving. We're joined by the head coach of the wrestling program at Maryland, Alex Clemsen. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's good to be back.
We're very excited to have you. Let's talk about it. January 10th, first top 10 win for Maryland since 2009, take down Michigan. It's been a couple weeks now. You've had a chance to reflect, obviously had some matches since then, but what was kind of the mindset going into that match? And then obviously take me through what it was like after.
Well, dual meets are interesting. There's only 10 weights that are contested, and if the matchups are right, you can, things can be in your favor and things can also go against you. We thought we saw a path to victory, and then, our kids really stepped up. And after Braxton Brown got the fall at 133 pounds, we knew we probably needed that to get it done. And when that happened, we thought we had a chance. And the guys just fought really, really hard that night. And so we talked to them about what the environment was going to be like and what the opportunity was going to be like. And they really did a good job of putting themselves in position to capture it.
Can you kind of describe that scene in the locker room after that win? We saw it online. The guys are going crazy, throwing water all around. What is that like as a coach when you guys get that big win and you're in that environment with your guys after the win?
Yeah, it's really hard to describe. I mean, I think, probably somewhat of a private moment that got shared, but that's cool to give people a sense of what it's like and what it meant to our guys and what it meant to our program. And I think it's cool to share moments like that with fans and family that put a lot in to those boys. And it's just really, really cool. We had a similar moment when we took down Pittsburgh a couple of years ago at their place when they were ranked, like 14th or 15th. Very, very similar emotions. Just super proud of our kids. I think, to put yourself in position to have that opportunity, what goes into it, I think it's hard for people to even fathom. And what our guys do on a daily basis and what they submit to and what they endure. To have an opportunity to have those moments, to see it come to fruition and to see these guys enjoy it was just, it's a hard to describe feeling as a coach.
After an emotional win like that, sometimes it can be kind of hard to follow up on that moment. But 2 days later, you guys get the win against Michigan State. You beat, I believe, Wisconsin later that week. What was your message to the team to kind of get them regrouped and then focus on to the next task, the next opponent?
Yeah, actually, I was a little bit worried about it. Again, with 10 weights, you could have a letdown. You could, guys could take their foot off the gas. We have 4 freshmen in our lineup, so you never know what you're going to get sometimes with youth and experience. But our guys did a good job of battling in both of those matches. And then, unfortunately, last Friday, a very good Illinois team came to town, and we knew the matchups were probably a little tougher, but I didn't love the way our kids competed. And very big juxtaposition between how they fought at Michigan and then how they, I think, were a little soft in moments against Illinois. And I think that's just part of being young, because I don't think we have a soft team. I don't think we have soft kids. But I think maybe not understanding what was required or what was necessary, last Friday night was disappointing. And I think it was to our kids too. And so we've had some opportunities where these guys have come through and fought really hard and gritted their teeth and delivered. And then I think last Friday, the opposite happened and probably a good growing moment for a young team to say, hey, it takes what it takes. And you gotta put out every night your best effort. And it doesn't mean you have to be at your best, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be 100%, but it means you better give 100% of what you got, and you better give, as good an effort, as good a fight as you can, or it'll get away from you. And we're going to find out, I think, on Sunday when Iowa comes to town, that if we don't, another one will get away from us. Otherwise, we could have a great opportunity to have another big moment for our program. So we've talked about it. We've been really honest about it. We moved on pretty quickly from it. We've had really good preparation thus far early in this week. So I like our young team. I've said that pretty consistently since we got going that I like this young team.
What are some of the things you do as a coach to get, the wheels back on that track? Because you mentioned it, right? Iowa coming to College Park on Sunday. The road doesn't really get that much easier. So what do you do as a coach? What are you telling the guys leading into this weekend to keep them prepared?
Well, I think you just got to be honest with them, right? When you guys went out and gave really good effort, good things happen. And when maybe we lacked a little bit there, bad things happen. It's not rocket science in our sport. If you don't give maximum effort, you're going to have a hard time winning in our league. So even when you give maximum effort, sometimes you're up against guys that are some of the best guys in the world. So, at least give yourself a chance to have your best performance, no matter what that means from a scoreboard perspective. I think our kids were probably, if they're being honest with themselves, if you ask them, they probably weren't, some of them weren't super proud of how they presented themselves and fought for themselves and our program. So they got a great opportunity on Sunday, though, to, like you said, step up and have an even better team come to town. It's not a knock on Illinois. It's just credit to Iowa. They're ranked second for a reason. And it's a great opportunity for our kids to get right back on the horse and see if they can repeat, a good performance. And again, we never, just so you guys know, I think for fans out there, everybody listening, we never talk about wins and losses in our team. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, we set goals and we talk about it then. But once we get into the year, it's really about preparing in such a way, performing in such a way, putting yourself in position to have as much success as possible, and whatever that looks like for yourself and your team. But really, putting out effort that you, your family, everybody can be proud of. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters is how do you feel about how you perform? How do you feel about how you're preparing? How do you feel about how you represented yourself in our program? And I just am a big believer that when you do that, you focus on that, good things will happen. The scoreboard will take care of itself.
How do you guys, it's easy for us. I think we do this a lot in media and fans do it too, where one win against a ranked team, you tend to quantify that as like, oh, this is a big step for the program, or, oh, this means so much, momentum shifter. But I feel like a lot of times, and I'm not saying this to her, I'm just asking from a coach's perspective, those wins almost are blown up more on the outside than they are on the inside. How much does that, like a win like the one against Michigan, actually matter? And how much do you think it really translates over into like program momentum per se?
That's a great question. I think for us, it does matter at this point. The genesis of our program, where it was prior to Clemsen and company coming to College Park, and then getting off to a little bit of a slow start with COVID and just having a weird couple of years there where our sport was really affected from a scheduling standpoint and not allowing our guys to prepare. It was the fact of the world of where we live and what people could do in Lincoln, Nebraska was a lot different than what people could do in College Park, Maryland. That's the facts of life. So I think some of our progress is probably delayed a little bit because of that. So having some of these moments, I think, are good markers to show people that, we had a vision, we created a process, we've stuck to it, and now it's starting to develop. I think it's probably more important for people outside the program, for fans, alumni, donors, future recruits, our administration, right? To see the growth and to see our kids start to come together and deliver on some of what we said they would. I think for our guys in the room every day, we've got a pretty good core of kids that know what they want in a sport and know how they feel about the sport. I think they're proud of what they've done so far, but they're also hungry for a lot more. And so probably a little validation for them too, or a box to check to say, hey, this is part of what we said we were going to do. This is in line with what we envisioned this looking like. So I don't ever think one win or one loss should be program defining. But I do think they can be program marking. And right now, I think our trajectory is headed in a good place.
When we spoke to you last, you talked about how when you were hired by Damon Evans, you had talked to him and said, like, we need some time to get this program exactly where you want it to be. You just kind of talked about it. But going forward, obviously, you've probably checked off a lot of those things you were hoping to accomplish. Going forward, looking to the future, in terms of building a program, what are some of the things you are now some of the things in the future you're trying to check off? What are some of the future goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd like to, be in the top half of the Big Ten. Obviously, I think our ultimate goals are higher than that, but, we started a distant 14th, right, out of 14. And last year we were 9th in dual meets and 10th at the tournament, and really probably the 9th best team of the tournament. There's some wonky scoring there at the end that benefited a program. It's just super rare. Nothing you can do about it. So I'm encouraged by where we are, but I know we've got a long way to go. And so, I think that's probably one of them. I think we'd like to see a top 25 and then a top 20 finish, and then continue to jump from there at the NCAA tournament. We need to have our first Big Ten individual champ. We haven't put a guy on the podium yet. We've been in the round of 12 a couple times. We haven't punched through. That clearly needs to happen. And then I know several guys in that room every day have aspirations of being a national champ. And we talked about the moment of as a coach sharing, a special aftermath with your athletes after a guy punches through in the quarterfinals, or after a guy punches through in the blood round to secure All-American status. It's a pretty cool feeling, and it's a pretty cool moment to share with an athlete. And then, you win on Saturday night on the elevated stage. That's a whole nother experience. And I, was blessed enough to do that a few times when I was at Missouri. And I think we have kids that are capable of it here. Somebody's got to be the first. And I think that's always the hardest. It's hard to be the trailblazer. But I know that's why Jackson Smith and Ethan Miller and Braxton Brown came to College Park. They all want to be the first, and I think that motivates them, and there's a healthy competition there between them. And Braxton's always saying, I'm the littlest, so technically I got the first opportunity. So we'll see who gets it done. I hope they all do. I think Mr. Nevels is very close to punching through. And Cal Miller, I know he's been up and down right now, but if he put together a couple of good weekends in March, I'd be zero shocked. Zero. So we've got several guys, we like to call them bullets. I think we've got several bullets in the chamber that we feel good about.
Brendan just asked about the future of the program. I want to ask a little bit about the future of collegiate sports, kind of wrestling as a whole, especially in this new NIL and now the revenue sharing era, with especially recently Maryland saying that they'd commit the majority of that $20.5 million to football, men's basketball, women's basketball. With these rules and regulations now in place, kind of where do you think the future of non-revenue sports in college, especially wrestling, kind of lies?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I'll say there are moments where I don't feel great about it. There are nights where I lose sleep about it. I love wrestling. I love what it's done for my life. I love what what it teaches people. Very thankful for the experiences I had as a student athlete, and for the experiences that our kids have here on campus every day. I do think wide-based, broad-based sports offerings are critical to society. I think when you look at American culture, when you think about youth sports, when you think about club sports, when you think about high school sports, the opportunities, the outlets, the economy behind that, what that does for just everyday Americans, you take that away at the collegiate level, you limit opportunities. I think there's a trickle-down effect that's really bad, potentially really bad, and probably not right away, but 5, 10, 15 years down the road, if broad-based sports offerings go away at the collegiate level, I don't think that's good for America. People might be listening and say that that's silly. It's not good. Just athletics for human beings are good. Being on a team, learning to work together is good. Challenging yourself physically, mentally, emotionally is good. The fewer athletic opportunities there are, fewer times I think that happens. That's not good for our society. I think Mr. Evans is really committed to a broad-based sport program at Maryland. He's not doing anything different than most of the Power Four is doing, right? And rightfully so. Football, they pay the bills, and so does men's basketball. And I think if Brenda was probably on, she'd probably say that she feels the same way. I don't think anybody should kid themselves and think that the backup 133 pounder should get a piece of the revenue share equally that the star quarterback gets. I don't want to speak for other teams or other coaches and how they feel, but I think that's pretty much the sentiment in and around our athletics program. And I think if people are being honest, it should be the sentiment around college athletics. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a piece of the pie left over to have kids in other programs have an opportunity to earn money through revenue share, earn money through NIL. And I think you're going to see that at Maryland. I know Mr. Evans is investing in several Olympic sports, non-revenue sports, from a profit sharing, from a revenue share model. Our piece of the pie is just smaller. And you see that in society, right? Guys that make a software code or start a company or can hit a baseball 500 feet, right? Make more money than people who don't have those skills, right? High school teacher, or college wrestling coach, right? That's just capitalism. And I think I'm fine with it. I think most people in college athletics understand it. So I do think we got to get our heads wrapped around what it looks like moving forward. I think we need to get a real handle on NIL. I know through the House settlement, there's supposed to be some pretty clear parameters and a clearinghouse that has to approve every deal over a certain amount, and that's going to be handled by a third-party entity for all institutions that opt into the House settlement. I hope that is a legitimate clearinghouse. I hope that it is as real as it can be, and that they are, putting these deals to the, real test, and that proper values are assigned. You're never going to stop the bag man, right? I was at Missouri with SEC football before NIL existed. You are never going to stop the bag man. If a group wants to get together and they want to make sure a kid gets a tractor, a mom gets a job, a family gets a house, a kid gets a bag of bills, right? It's going to happen. People cheat. That's just, they cheat in everything, right? Like pastors steal money from churches, and financial people swindle clients, and you just name it, right? It just doesn't matter. It's just in our world, unfortunately. And so I can't worry about that. Everybody else can't worry about that. You do your best to adapt with the times and lead young people in the right way, and show up every day and do your job to the best of your ability, and try to help these young people grow and learn and continue to have fun with their sport, and hopefully win some championships. And it'll be what it is. I think non-revenue sports need to, be smart. We need to be diligent. We need to think about, how do we add value? How do we help our communities? How do we distinguish ourselves? What are some things that we can do to separate? I think all those things are important for our individual sports, to think about as we navigate these new waters with our coaches associations and our different professional groups. I hope wrestling takes it serious. I hope that we develop a dual meet national championship. I hope that we start to generate more revenue opportunities for our kids and our programs. I hope that we get on TV more. I hope we fill arenas more, because ultimately you need to show that you're viable, and you need to show that you can help produce and not be a drain, that you're a value adding entity. So we probably all need to do business a little differently. But we have bright people. Coaches are bright, right? And they're competitive, and they want to help kids. And so we need some direction at times. And then, let us get to work and we'll figure it out. And I'm really thankful for what Mr. Evans and Colleen Sorum and our direct sports supervisor, Mr. Sherburne, Mark Sherburne, have done for our program thus far. And I think what they see as the future for us is really bright, and I'm thankful for that too.
That's a good answer to end on, Coach. We appreciate you hopping on, man. Thanks for giving us some insight into the program and kind of the future of what collegiate wrestling might look like. So we haven't had many repeat guests on, but like Brendan said, well deserving. So thank you and good luck to your Chiefs in the Super Bowl here.
Yeah, I know a lot of probably Commanders fans and Ravens fans in this area. I'm originally from the Midwest. You gotta let a kid keep some of his roots, right? So, but now, yeah, big game. My 13-year-old son is pretty brainwashed at this point. So
all he knows is winning, man. What the heck?
That's all he knows. So he's a Cubs fan also, and he was just old enough in 16 when they won to remember it. And it's like he has no idea the years I lived through. He's starting to get a sense of that.
Yeah.
Mr. Ricketts, if you're listening, I got a bone to pick with you.
Well, thanks, Coach. We appreciate you having on. Good luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate you guys. Go Terps.